just to follow up with Xavier, the hamstring. We'll continue to evaluate that this week and see how he's doing, go day to day with him. Just as far as the game, again, just we got to be better in all phases, coaching and playing. We'll get back to work this week. The good news is everything is still in front of us. In essence, the playoffs start for us this week. We got to take a 1-0 mentality. We have to have a good week of practice, and we're expecting Jacksonville's best. We know that we've struggled down there. This team takes a lot of pride, right, in playing us the way they play us. So we'll have to bring our best effort this week.
All right, Nate Atkins.
Michael Pittman just went over 1,000 yards. It's the first time a Colts receiver other than T.Y. has done it since 2012. So just as he's kind of grown as a player, second-year player, do you see defenses playing him differently, or is he getting more attention, or how has that kind of changed over time?
Yeah, really excited for Pitt. I remember last year at the end of the season when I kind of had a brief exit interview with him, and I still remember like it was yesterday, him telling me, I'm gonna work so hard, coach, and I know we got some things we want to accomplish as a team. I got some things I want to accomplish individually. I think he's done that. He's worked hard, and he's earned it on the field. And I do think, teams are giving him attention. They know he's our lead dog, and he's getting the appropriate attention.
And in the process of him kind of growing as a player, it seems like it's been harder to get other guys involved. There's no other receiver on this team that has 400 yards. So what have you seen from that group? That why is it that kind of as Pittman's taken off, it's been harder to get other guys productive?
I just think it's been by committee. We've been just spreading around. And I will say this about Pitt's development. I think a lot of that, Coach Groh, first of all, it's Pitt, right? And he works hard. Secondly, Coach Groh's done a good job. Thirdly, and maybe most importantly, I think T.Y. has been a great leader in that room, really showed that room how to work. I think T.Y. has showed that room how to be selfless. It's one of the things I love about Pitt, even though he's getting the ball a lot. He's a real team first guy. But I think, just Nate, in regard to your, nobody else having over 400 yards, it's just a byproduct of us spreading it around. And, we got guys we're comfortable doing that with. And we've been a run first team. So, not quite as many yards in general this year as in previous years.
Bob Kravitz.
Yeah, hi, Frank. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you guys are playing a lot more man defensively. When did that start to happen? Why is it happening? Am I correct there?
Yeah, you're correct, Bob. Man, and some match zone stuff that has man principles to it. That's been going on for a few weeks. We're still going to mix it up. Flus does a good job every week. It's multiple, and every week is kind of a new plan. So, some weeks we're going to play more zone. Some weeks we might play more man. It all depends on what we're trying to accomplish, that particular week with our matchups, with the schemes and the pressures that we have. Do we want man pressures? Do we want zone pressures? I think Flus and the guys and the defensive staff have been doing a good job every week of mixing those things up to keep teams off balance. But your assessment, though, Bob, is right. From the beginning of the year, there has been more man mixed into it in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks.
Mike Chappell.
Frank, as you know, quarterbacks get too much credit and too much blame because that's what the NFL does. Is there something different with Carson over the last, I don't know, months, getting away from yesterday, a month or 6 weeks or not? I mean, the numbers have tailed off. The down the field numbers have tailed off. Anything there, or is it just that you've been so run centric that that's a byproduct?
I do think, Chap, a lot of it is the byproduct of us becoming so run centric. You can look at it 2 ways. And first of all, the way we have to look at it is, if we're not going to throw it 35 or 40 times, then you got to find a way to get in rhythm and make the most of the opportunities. If we're going to throw it 25 to 30 times, we got to find a way to get, as an offensive staff and as a quarterback and as a pass offense, we got to find a way to help the quarterback be in rhythm with fewer attempts. But some of it is coming by way of, us running the ball as much as we have. So which is why I have resisted, even with, talking with you guys, I've always kind of leave that room there saying, hey, we're going to do whatever it takes. There's going to be games where we have to throw it more and where we want to throw it more, that people aren't going to like, that people might say, well, you're getting away from your identity of running it. No, you got to look at this thing over the long haul, over the course of a season, and you go through the ebb and flow of it. It's a game by game decision based on the matchups that you have and what you think you're trying to do. So that's how we're looking at it.
Just one follow up on that. So instead of the fact that he was 1627 from 148, it's more important that, boy, when you've got Ty, you've got to hit him. When you've got Zach, you don't throw. I mean, you've got to be more on those handful of plays. Make them.
Yeah, exactly. And then what happens? I've seen this over the years, as we all have. Like, I can't remember who a quarterback earlier this year had one of these games where he was, like 15 for 20 with 5 touchdowns, and more. And I forget who it was. I think it was in Green Bay. No, it was the Saints. It was the Saints, and had an unbelievable day. Not very many completions, but a third of them were touchdowns. And that's the kind of day that you hit every one of those. But then if you have a day where you miss a couple of those for whatever reason, it can look like a ho-hum day.
Joel Erickson.
Frank, kind of building on what Chap was asking about there, I think over the last 7 games or so, you guys yards per attempt is 6.3 or something like that. I know that's well below where you want it to be. What's got to change for you guys to get back to where it was in the first half of the season?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Joel, because I look at that number all the time because I know it's an important number, and I haven't liked how it's been trending. So you guys know that, like, there used to be a time where that was the stat for me. Like, if you win the yards per attempt thing, the win correlation with yards per attempt is pretty high, when you start looking at individual stats. So we got to do it. We got to execute better. We got to scheme it better. We got to take advantage of the opportunities that we have, to get that yards per attempt back up where it needs to be.
George Bremer.
Frank, you had some of your best success at the end of the first half there, going in a little bit of a hurry up mode. Is tempo one of the ways that you might be able to get some rhythm for Carson moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, tempo is, we've done well in 2 minute. He's done well in 2 minute. I've done a ton of 2 minute in my past as a player and as a coach. So it's something that I like to do. It's not been our identity this year so much. One of the reasons is when you start going no huddle, you're very limited in the run game. And, since we got the guy we got back there, we're trying to center, in many ways, center things around him. But, there's a quote that I always say, a proverb that I always say, man of wisdom avoids all extremes. Just because we're run centric, just because we think we have the MVP in our backfield, doesn't mean that we can't be, small sections of no huddle here or there. We talk about it every week. We get it in 2 minute. There's just limitations to it that I've experienced, but it's always in our back pocket.
Zach Kiefer.
Frank, I think it's fair to say, as a coach, you want your team playing their best at this time of the year. And you guys have gradually gotten better over the course of the season. I think that's fair to say. But what concerns you coming out of yesterday in terms of you don't have any more mulligans, there's no more losses you can take starting Sunday? What is your biggest sort of hesitation or concern about your football team?
I really don't have any hesitation or concern. I think when you look over the body of work and if you look at the trend, right, if you look at the graph and the trend, it's been going up for a long time. And then, when you zoom out, you wouldn't even notice this little blip that was a negative yesterday. It was a negative. There's nobody's trying to avoid that. But over the course of the season, it's just a little blip with the trend going up. We still have everything in front of us. If we can get back on track, right? If we can get back on track and get things going the way we have, who we've established ourselves to be, how good the defense has been playing. We've had dominant special teams that had an off day. the offense has been dynamic as far as running the football and as far as scoring points, as far as not turning it over. We lead the league in turnover differential. Those are things that you don't do in 1 week. Those are things that take a season to establish that you're one of the premier teams in the NFL. I see and feel a team that I have a lot of belief and confidence in who we've established ourselves to be over 16 games. And I think that's who we'll be going forward.
And then if I could follow up, you talk about avoiding the extremes, right? And we talked about 1-4 and 0-3 and all that. You guys still have a flair for the dramatic. I mean, this is the third time since you've been head coach that you guys had a play-in game essentially in the last week of the season. You guys just can't avoid these dramatic finishes, right? Do you get a kick out of that?
No. Well, and believe me, I had every intention of it not coming down to this last week, Zach. But I think in this business, we embrace it. You embrace the moment that you have. It's an opportunity to turn it into something positive. We take nothing for granted. We're not assuming, hey, well, we got our bad game out of us. We'll get right back on track. Hey, we're playing a team that has a poor record. No, we don't fall into that trap. We got to earn everything. We got to earn the respect that we get. We got to earn the yards that we get. We got to earn every win. So that's the only mentality we can have. We just have to take it day by day, continue to fight to get better, and take advantage of the opportunity in front of us.
Okay, we'll go 2 more. Mike Chappell.
Frank, with the kind of season JT's having, and you said, we've got the MVP in the backfield. I guess you still appreciate what he does. I mean, the last 2 games, he's only had 108 yards rushing. He's sort of made that game normal, but it's not. I mean, I assume your appreciation hasn't waned at all.
Not at all. And like you said, Chap, he has 108 yards, and you feel like, I'm sure people, is that it? Is that all you got for us? Still averaging over 5 yards a carry. I promise you, they are stacking the box against him and making it as, you play against JT and everybody in the whole defense is getting emotionally up to play the MVP, one of the potential MVPs of the league. And so we're getting not only their best effort as far as scheme and loading the box, but we're getting their best effort physically and emotionally, the challenge of stopping, Jonathan Taylor. Are we going to be the team that can shut this guy down? That's so for him to, still be going over 100 yards, for him to still be getting 5 yards a carry, that's a pretty big deal in my mind.
You've been around some great running backs in your career as a player and a coach. Does this compare to anything? I mean, Thurman had some great seasons. Edge was gone when you got here.
Right.
But compared to anything?
It's hard to compare it. They each have their own style in their own way, and they're each, great in their own way. I'm just glad we got JT right now. I mean, his combination of speed and power and vision and patience, balance, body control, acceleration in the hole, take it to the house on any run, team player, really good still good out of the backfield when you need him, really good in pass protection. He's a complete player. So, and he comes to, and he works hard every day. So, we need to continue to ride him. He's at the center of our offense. It doesn't mean that we don't want to be dynamic. We talk about it as an offense being dynamic in the run and the pass game. And as Joel was alluding to earlier, we just got we got to get a little bit more of that dynamic back into the pass game.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. Last one, Chris Woodlick.
Coach, playing off a little of what Zach asked you, you and a lot of your players have been here before, having to win on the last day. You did it last year. Is there anything you can draw from that? You or your players can draw from that and make it work for you this coming Sunday?
I just think it brings a heightened sense. You want your best focus and your best week of preparation every week, no matter what. Listen, we all know human nature. It's hard, the level of intensity and focus has to be high. And I think, when your back's against the wall, the Raiders' backs were against the wall last week. We got their absolute best. I'm sure they had a great week of practice. We probably didn't have our greatest week of practice. It was okay, maybe not the greatest week that we've ever had. So I think what we've learned is, and we've learned it throughout this year with our backs against the wall, that we can respond to adversity. We can respond to that environment when our backs are against the wall and play good football.